Hi, my name is Matthew Suggs, and today I'm going to be presenting to you about the portrayal of Native Americans in film and music. Before I go through this presentation, I'm going to go over some key terms first. Firstly, we have cultural appropriation, also known as cultural misappropriation. This is when members of a culture take elements and aspects and traditions from another culture and use them. Though not always controversial, sometimes when used can be controversial. Next, we have cultural confusion. This is where members of one culture don't know what's acceptable to do so that they do not offend other cultures. Thirdly, we have racial antipathy. This is when people deliberately try to offend other people. It's racism. And then last we have idealized sympathy. Idealized sympathy is kind of like a harmonial balance between members of different cultures where people know what's right to say and do and how to behave. The first thing I'm going to be talking about today is playing Indian in films. Playing Indian in films is common today, and it's also common in the past. In the era before the Great Depression, it was quite common to find playing Indian in a lot of old Western movies. The portrayal of Native Americans in these old Western movies can be seen as kind of offensive and at some points blatantly racist, in my opinion. Here on the screen I have a poster for the movie Stagecoach. It's a cowboy movie, and in this movie we have John Wade and some other actors, and they are on a stagecoach, and basically it's set in a westward expansion type environment where they're going into seized land. And then in this movie, they are battling with Native Americans in the land. Some couple red flags I'm going to throw off right away with this movie is that the Apache Native Americans didn't fight people trying to seize their land. So that's just kind of made up. And then the portrayal of Native Americans in this movie can be pretty racist. Basically, all the characters in the movie seem primitive, not that smart, and the film almost makes it seem like they're savages and pretty violent. They're portrayed as the enemy. If you read the poster we have here, it says, "Men and women on the last frontier of wickedness." It almost sounds like they're calling Native Americans wicked. Moving on, I'm going to talk about some more contemporary movies where we see playing Indian. I'm going to talk about this bottom one first. This movie is The Lone Ranger. It's the newer one. It has Johnny Depp in it. He's right here. And what I noticed about this movie is kind of the same thing I saw with older movies, except this movie was made in 2017. Same thing, kind of makes Native Americans seem almost like savages, kind of like Primal Instinct. And then up top here, we just have Pocahontas. It's a Disney movie. And Pocahontas, the story of Pocahontas is very different from the Disney story of Pocahontas. In my opinion, in this movie, Pocahontas has been taken by Disney and almost romanticized, almost to the point where her character seems over extravagant and just really romanticized. The next thing I'm going to talk about is black minstrels. These I relate highly to playing Indian, but these were not so much in film. These developed before the age of film in filmography. And basically, what white people would do is they'd paint their face black and they'd go to perform. It's like they're drawing a line between African Americans or Africans and clowns in their performances. Highly racist, in my opinion. But people watched it for entertainment. People also watch these other films I talk about for entertainment, where they're giving Native Americans a bad rep, or not even all the time a bad rep, just an inaccurate representation. The next thing I'd like to talk about is singing Indian. In this image, this is Gwen Stefani. This is a music video to one of her single songs called It's Hot. In this music video, Gwen Stefani, who is not Native American, is dressed up as Native American, and she almost seems to be sexualizing Native American women in a really odd way. In the music video, though the lyrics don't have anything to do with cultural appropriation or anything like that, the music video alone is pretty unsettling. She's dressed up as a Native American woman, and basically the premise is, combined with the lyrics, is that she's so hot that these outlaws are trying to steal her. As you can imagine, she got a lot of backlash for this video, and it was taken off the internet within a couple weeks. So what impacts do these have, or what impacts does media like this have on our society? The obvious thing is it paints an inaccurate picture of who Native American people really are. Most of the time, they're just normal people like you and me. And in these videos, it's taking traditional aspects of that Native American people have, and they're making them seem like violent people, savage people, or they're doing the opposite, and they're making them seem extravagant, overly extravagant. But in reality, they're just normal people like you and me. So now I'm going to talk about some things that I think could be done in order to help this phenomenon from happening. So the scenario in our textbook with the kids going to summer camp, I have a very similar story about myself. In pre-K and also through kindergarten, for Thanksgiving, we would all dress up as pilgrims and Native Americans. Never ever did we talk about the westward expansion or anything like that. And when we thought of Native Americans, we just thought them as like people walking around in loincloths, really primitive and kind of inaccurate. So my idea is that basically is that people get more educated about Native Americans and their traditions and their cultures, so that they can look past what film and music portray Native Americans as typically. And by doing so, hopefully, this will help rid Hollywood and the music industry of inaccurate portrayals of not only Native Americans, but other minorities, and just people in general. Final thoughts? When it comes down to it, with all these films portraying Native Americans in the wrong way, I think the best thing for people to do is just portray people for just what they really are. avoid stereotyping, avoid all these common things that films tend to do so that they don't happen anymore. Again, back to education. And that's it for my presentation today. I used images in my presentation. I have them listed on the last page of my slide. Thank you for watching.